Hello, everyone. I'm Lonnie with Untitled Network, and we are here with Lenore Zann, Rogue from the X-Men animated series. Welcome back.
Well, thank you, Lonnie. It's great to be here with you virtually.
Yes. Now, we've met once before in person, and we
Yep.
basically have a country separating us at the moment.
Yes.
Um, but we met here in Chattanooga, Tennessee at
Yep.
Metrotham Con in 2019.
I think it was, yeah, 2019.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know it was early 2019, I think. And, one
Spring.
thing that I absolutely remember, everybody knows you voiced Rogue in X Men and are getting ready to do so again in X Men 97.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I like bragging about is right towards the end of the interview, you asked if you could kiss my cheek. And of course, I was like, yes. So
Aw.
for the next year, I was in a coma. And as soon as I woke up, COVID was happening. And so
I remember I had me a boyfriend when I was 13, had me a boyfriend till I kissed him. Poor boy went into a coma for 3 days.
How I love it. How easy is it for you to get back into that? Like after all this time.
It is as easy as a piece of sugar pie. I love it. She's inside of me. Rogue is part of me, and I have fun letting her come out and taking over my personality.
I love it. So
She's stuck with Ms. Marvel inside. I got Rogue. I mean, which one's luckier?
how easy was it in the beginning? Because you're of course not southern born and bred. You have a varied background as far
I
as places you
do.
were born, were lived and things like that. Let's talk about that a little bit and maybe how difficult it was to find Rogue initially, despite the fact that she's there for good now.
Yeah. Well, as you alluded to, I mean, I was born in Australia. And good on you, mate. G'day, 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 g'day. I had a very thick Australian accent, strine. When my parents decided to move to Canada, I was 8, and we sailed over on a ship, the SS Canberra, with 2,000 Australian teachers and Kiwi, New Zealand teachers to come to Canada and emigrate. And then I got made fun of a lot by kids in Canada for my Aussie accent, which didn't become cool until Crocodile Dundee. That ain't a knife. This is a knife. That suddenly it was cool to have an Australian accent. But I bit by bit sort of tried to get rid of it, um, just to avoid all the jokes. But when I went to university in Toronto, my parents moved to Nova Scotia on the East Coast, which is where I am now. And I went to university in Toronto at York University and took drama and political science. And the teachers there kind of beat out the Australian. They were like, no, it's not down and out, it's down and out, down and out, very British. So my accent became very Atlantic, very mid Atlantic. And as soon as I turned 19, I was cast to play Marilyn Monroe in a rock opera on the life of Marilyn Monroe called Hey Marilyn. And so I played an American, obviously Marilyn Monroe, and then movies and television offers started coming. And most of the time, I was asked to play Americans, so I never really did pick up a really Canadian accent. It's again, I find American accents easy to do, and pretty well most accents I can do with work. So when I had to audition for Rogue, by that time, I was actually had been an actor for 11 years. No, yeah, 11 years. And I've been in tons of theater and movies and television and everything. Had never really done voiceover before. But when I saw the character drawn and I just imagined what she sounded like, they said they wanted a sexy Southern voice with a husky, sexy accent, a Southern accent, but with a sexy husky voice, which I already had the husky voice. And I guess it's up to other people to decide whether it's sexy or not. But I just said the first lines that were there, which were, my dad had liked to kill himself when he found out I was a mutant. you know, get out of my mind. And then the lines about when I was 13, I had me a boyfriend till I kissed him. Poor boy went into a coma for 3 days. Got so if I touched anybody, it just drove the life right out of him. I don't know, Beast. You know everything. What makes us like the way we are anyway?
Oh
Right?
wow, I'm like, is there a chat? Cause I don't want to give spoilers or anything, of course, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to be really careful with you guys as far
Thank
as
you. We
throwing
appreciate.
throwing something out that maybe we don't need to say. But from I guess we're assuming that not a lot of time has passed between the last episode of X-Men and maybe where they're picking up now. We don't know that for sure. I'm just basing this off of assumptions. But is was it like jumping back into it and having to just pick right up where you left off? Like,
Yes.
has it been difficult, like to try to find that exact? No,
N-
nothing. Just you just jumped
No.
right into it. We're ready to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Um, and also, when Disney and Marvel first contacted me to say that they were interested, I mean, I wanted to know, so are we going back? Is she younger now? Are you going back? Do you want like a teenage Rogue, or do you want an older Rogue, or what do you want? And they said, no, no, we want you. We want it. We want your voice the way it was, no changes. I'm like, okay, well,
Oh yeah,
that's easy, because my voice is the same, luckily.
yeah.
And, and because it's so low and husky anyway, it has just sort of stayed that way. And I gotta say, the fans might find this kind of interesting, and it's not giving away anything other than a personal thing. When I did X-Men in the early 90s, I was still drinking. I was drinking. I was a party animal.
Hmm.
And but since then, I quit drinking. I realized that I was an alcoholic, and I knew that there was either death or life, and I chose life. And I quit drinking in Los Angeles, actually, on Martin Luther King Boulevard. The Black community of AA helped me get sober, and for that I will be eternally grateful. And that was about 20, almost 26 years ago now. So, because of the quitting drinking, it's interesting because my voice has remained young sounding. It hasn't gotten hoarser if I had it kept drinking and all that.
Yeah.
And so it's great because it enables me to go up high, up low. It enables me to sing. I can still sing because I started off as a singer doing a rock opera on the life of Marilyn Monroe. And so, that journey as well, that journey of towards health and looking after oneself and realizing one's own demons. I realize that has really helped me have a longer longevity in my career, and also enabled me to go into politics and become an elected official for 12 years.
Now that's not something like I don't want to dwell on this, but that's not something that I've really heard talked about. That you at one, well, I guess technically once an alcoholic, you always have to kind of keep an eye
Yes,
on it.
that's right.
But I had no clue that you had ever had struggles with that, and
Yeah,
I can
I'm a
relate.
recovering alcoholic. Yeah,
Yeah,
recovering. We're
like
always on recovering.
I can relate to that because, but I was fortunate enough. I come from a long line of alcoholism in my family, and I fortunately I looked at that and I kind of caught it before it got to that point where I said, okay, there's an issue. And I just decided at the beginning to just, we're not going to get to that point because I've already seen what it does in the family. And
Right.
so, but it's cool to hear that
Exactly.
because that's something
Yeah.
I don't hear enough.
Well, I think if you can embrace the fact that you do have a disease, that
Hmm.
alcoholism is a disease, and that it's genetic. It's oftentimes passed on in families. Sometimes it skips generations.
Yeah.
Um, my mother is not an alcoholic. My sister's not an alcoholic. However, my mother's mother, my grandmother, was not an alcoholic. But my grandmother's two brothers were. My great uncles were. One of them got sober at the age of like 55 or something, and died sober, and a strong member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the other brother who had gone to the war and came back from the war with all kinds of, mental issues. He never did get sober. And it's sad. But having played Marilyn Monroe, I saw what happened to Marilyn by the time she was 36, when she died of an alcohol and drug overdose. And I chose to get sober at the age of 36. So, yeah, it's important. And I think it gives me more of a background to pull from in the painful scenes that I oftentimes am doing as Rogue, or any other character for that matter.
That's interesting. That's just something I didn't know about you, and then I was like, oh, we need to
Yep.
talk about this a little bit, because again, that's
Yeah.
something I can
I think
relate
it's
to.
important. Yeah, and it's important for fans to realize that if they are struggling and they're trying to, self-medicate their own pain and hide their own pain with drugs or alcohol, trust me, there is a way out, and life does get better. And take it from me, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So take that step.
Now,
Re-
one of those things, when we first met a few years ago, the
Mhm.
biggest surprise I had ever gotten was that you were actually in government, and I had no clue up to that point. You actually have served in the Nova Scotia I'm sorry, the Nova Scotia House of Assembly, and the you were a member of Parliament for Cumberland and Colchester up in Canada. And
Yes.
like, how in the world did that get started? Like, how do you go from being Rogue on TV to being a member of like Parliament, and serving in the House of Assembly?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, let's think about who is Rogue. What does Rogue stand for? Rogue is one of the X-Men, and they want to try and create a world that is equal for all, where everybody is accepted, everybody is welcomed, everybody is loved. And I think to be a really good public servant, a politician, or an elected official, you really need to start from that place. You want to be able to help others. You want to create a better life for all. And that's where I started from. So I moved home to Nova Scotia in about 15 years ago. And at that point, I was still an actor, and I thought I'll just fly in and out of Nova Scotia and do my acting work. I'd just done a play on off Broadway in New York, and that was again a show about Marilyn Monroe, but it was a play I'd written, a one-woman show called The Marilyn Tapes,
Hmm.
about the end of Marilyn's life, her last days, really. And I did that in New York. I did Law and Order. I did a bunch of things that I wanted to do. And then I thought, you know what? It's time to go home. I want to be with the family. I want to be close to my parents who are aging. I want to be close to my sister, my younger sister, and her little children, watch them grow up. And I moved home and I started getting involved in issues like saving beautiful old heritage properties and things like this. And somebody saw me in action and said, hey, you make a great politician. Would you ever think about running for office? And I said, well, I'd always thought that maybe someday that might be something that I could look at. And they said, well, we think you'd be great. Would you run in the next provincial or state election for us? And this was a party called the New Democrats here in Canada, which is, they're kind of like the Bernie Sanders of the States. They're social democrats. And I had traveled the world. I've been to Sweden, where social democracy was basically in government, where free post-secondary education, people are looked after from birth to grave, really. A lot of things are public. 92% of the workforce is unionized, so they make really good money. People are respected. And it's all about how can we all work together to make a better community for all, and a better country for all, or a better province or state for all. So I said, sure. And I won. I won in a landslide, actually. One of the parties that I was running against, actually, during the election, they sent a picture of me from The L Word, was a TV series I had done. And I had a shower scene in it. And they sent a picture of me topless in this shower scene to the news, the television news station, thinking they were going to decapitate me before I even got started. But it worked against them, and people were outraged that they were trying to do an actress. And I was an award-winning actor. I'd already won awards. I'd done all kinds of other stuff, and this is what they focused on. So I won in a landslide, and I won 3 more times. I won 4 elections in a row. The fourth time was for the Liberal Party of Canada, which is Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's party, because he cares deeply about people, about the environment, about trying to have a very fit social justice system for all. And these are all, again, my beliefs. So I ran for him and won. And so 12 years later, here I am, and now I'm jumping back into the acting world. And my message to everybody is, you don't have to just pick one career. Life is hopefully going to be long. So think about the things that you're interested in. You don't have to just get tied down and do one thing your entire life, especially if you don't like it. Do it as long as you can and make as much money as you can. But then think about creative things, jump into the pool, do other things, and, keep life interesting so that you want to live as long as possible. That's my advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I work a 9 to 5 job. Well, kind of. I work nights. But
Right.
at the same time, I do this. I'm able to sit here and talk to you. We're
Right.
talking about all this and,
Yeah.
making content and stuff. So even if, you are, I don't want to use the word burdened, but if you do have a job that is keeping you from doing what you really, really, really love full time, you can always make time for it. And you never know, it could turn into something.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. You have to put it out there and focus on it with intent and make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was curious if you were gonna bring up the topless scene from the L Word. I was like, are we really gonna go there? But I
Yep.
wanna ask you, like, really quick. Do you agree? Like, I think that the age of trying to do a gotcha moment with somebody saying, oh, they were nude, or oh, they took a topless photo with their cell phone. You think the age of that being anybody caring about that at all is pretty much over with, because we're to the point now where I'd say a pretty good majority of women and even men under 35 or 40 or so have taken nude photos or have appeared nude somewhere at some point. And so now it's like, why are we doing this? Why are y'all trying to throw this scandal out there when there really is none? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I would like to think that we're beyond that, but unfortunately, it does seem to be the case that political parties do jump on these gotcha moments. And it depends on whether or not the populace is open to that or just over it. And it also depends on the situation. I mean, obviously, people who have been involved in miscellaneous sexual misconduct, that's different.
that's
Uh,
different. Yeah.
right. But yeah, the gotcha politics is sadly a thing of the past, and it's also happening now.
Yeah.
And I do think it's sad, because I think we should be talking more about the policies and what people can do for our communities, rather than these kinds of, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they're just very, very unimportant little details that really have nothing to do with what the person's going to do for the work for the people. And that's what's important.
Speaking of work for the people, do you have any main accomplishments or, you know, nice little things that you've done as, serving for Canada? Like, or is there anything that you're like, yeah, I was part of that. I helped, these people. We did this or that. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of stuff are you most proud of?
Well, interestingly enough, I'm proud of all the work I did for 10 years, a decade, as a member of the Legislative Assembly of Nova Scotia. I was part of the first ever NDP, New Democratic Party government, for 4 years. And for 6 years, I was a critic, like an opposition critic, we call them. And I had 11 different critic portfolios of all sorts. And I fought for all of the things that I believe in, for women, for diversity, for people of the LGBTQ2 plus, 2S plus community, for climate change, trying to deal with climate change before it turned into this terrible thing that it already is now. But by the time I finished my 10 years in provincial politics, and I ran federally. As soon as I got to Ottawa, to the capital here in Canada, which is all in the news right now, the very first thing I did was I introduced a private members bill, they're called, and it's called A National Strategy to Address Environmental Racism and Environmental Justice. And that is about the disproportionate number of toxic waste sites, dumps, landfills, and corporate polluters that are placed on or beside Black and Indigenous and other racialized communities, as well as communities that are poorer. And if you take a look at a map of any country, you're probably going to see that the majority of those places are placed beside, on or beside, or in the middle of these communities. Because why? Because white society doesn't deem them as important as themselves. And so I wanted to change that. And I introduced the bill. It's gone halfway through the House of Parliament. And just recently, it's been reintroduced because we had an election in between. And so another colleague from the Green Party in Canada has introduced my bill, and we're hoping that it can go all the way through to the Senate and be passed. And it also incorporates the right for every citizen in Canada to have clean water and clean air, which is not legislated. So I think every country should have that.
Look at you making a difference, and you're not even, actively serving right now.
Well, I think some of us are just, we do it all the time. It's in our DNA. And again, as Rogue, I do it as Rogue because Rogue is there to try and make a difference and try to fight for what's right for people. So whether I'm doing it as my character or I'm doing it in real life, it's fulfilling because I want to do something that's greater than me, that includes all of us. Because after all, we're all just tiny little cogs in the wheel of existence. And so again, we're in this together, and that's what I want to do. I want to work together with people to try and make things better.
I love it. See, we agree on so many things.
Thank you.
We will get back to our talk about activism before the end of the interview, but I want to talk to you about you have a newer movie out across most of our streaming services called Stage Mother. And while I have not actually viewed this yet, it has been put towards the top of my viewing list, and I have seen the trailer. Sounds like a very, very interesting movie. One of those that just hearing about the movie doesn't quite do it justice. I think you really need a viewing of the trailer to get what this is all about. And we basically have where this lady who's your old-timey, Southern Texas choir
members,
yeah,
played by Jackie Weaver, who's in Yellowstone right now. Did you recognize her? So she also got an Academy Award nomination for Silver Playbook Lining, or Silver Lining Playbook.
Yeah, Silver Linings Playbook. Now, I've seen her in that because that was a Jennifer Lawrence film that I watched a few years ago. But I'll be completely honest with you, Lenore. I'm if it doesn't have Marvel or DC or maybe a little bit of The Walking Dead attached, I really haven't had time the last couple of years to watch.
Well, I hear Yellowstone is good. I want to see it. People are telling me I should be on that show. They're like, "That's for you, Lenore," but she's on it, and Lucy Liu is in it, and Adrienne Grenier from Entourage. So they're the three leads in it, and I play the younger sister of Jackie Weaver, sorry. But it's a beautiful movie about love unconditionally and wanting to belong, and a whole bunch of drag queens.
It's almost like for her, it's almost like from what I understood, and of course, she kind of comes into her own by the end of the movie, I'm sure, but kind of like a fish out of water tale. She inherits. She doesn't know, but she inherits basically a drag club. And,
in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And she's from small town, Texas.
And there's a lot of stuff about her late son that she did not know about. And I'm living for this. I feel like it's going to be such a great film, and I'm almost like, how did I not know about this before? I mean,
Well, it's a small movie, but it's a beautiful movie, and it's won a lot of awards at different film festivals. And it's screening right now, I believe, on Amazon Prime.
it is available for purchase on Amazon Prime, but
Okay.
right now, to be able to watch it with a subscription, you have to, at least in the States, I know it varies from country to
Mhm.
country, but you actually have to get the Stars package, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can, I think it's available for $14.99 or a rental across
Right.
pretty much every streaming service. But it's actually available on Stars. You can watch it
Okay.
with that service.
Well, there you go. So folks, check it out. Stage Mother. It's great. And I've got a very funny part. I've got a very funny part in this.
I'm
I play
looking
it, of course.
I'm looking forward to it because when I watch this movie, which I'm sure will be in the next 7 to 10 days, I'll be sitting there watching it. Oh, that's Lenore there.
I know. Like, there's my friend.
I was just talking to her. Um.
Yep. And I
Oh,
have another movie I'm about to start too, right? I'm about to start shooting a new movie.
I was going to ask you about that because I
Yeah.
haven't been able to find a lot of info about it.
No, because we're not letting out a whole lot of info yet. But
Uh,
but let's just say that after the last election, which happened in September, and I was unsuccessful that time. That was my fifth election. But anyway, I got a call from, well, Disney, um, Disney and Marvel. That was nice. But then I got a call from a producer here in Nova Scotia who has written and is going to direct and produce a beautiful script, and it's a leading role. And we will be starting shooting probably the end of this month, early March. And I'm really excited about it. I can't say too much about it yet, but I love my character, and I can relate to the whole script, and it's a very funny and moving script that I think people will really enjoy, and it will play different film festivals. It's got broadcasting rights already, broadcaster, etc. It's got the funding, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm just starting to work on my lines now, before I go on set.
I love it. I cannot wait. I'm. Oh, I want to ask. I just want to ask. But okay,
You're so sweet.
we
And I
must
love
show.
your t-shirt. I
We,
love your t-shirt.
oh
Love is love.
yes, yes,
Love is love, man.
yes.
Great. Do you
We
like mine? You see mine?
I absolutely love that. Matter of fact, let's segue into this topic. Um,
Okay.
we met again at MetroThamCon 2019, or it might have been 2018, somewhere in that ballpark.
2000.
It,
Yeah.
it was like a year or two before COVID. Um,
Yeah.
and you guys apparently did a little bit of sightseeing here in good old Chattanooga, Tennessee. Which, as we were talking about
Loved it.
we were talking about off the air, and I'm like, a lot of times your people who live in the areas, while they understand where they live and they get the significance of it, we really don't appreciate it as much as we could. People come here for tourism, and meanwhile, the rest of us who are here every day are like, yeah, yeah. But I mean, I do. I appreciate it. I love the Tennessee Aquarium.
I
You
do too.
you went
It
into
was one
the
of my
aquarium.
favorite spots. Yes. And I want to do a shout out actually for somebody who lives there in Tennessee, and his name is Joey Wiggum. And
Okay.
he was assigned to me when we were at the Comic Con to take me around, take me back and forth to the hotel, etc. And I had a little bit of time off. I took an extra day actually to see the sights and everything. And he took me all around the city. And one of the places we went to was the aquarium, the Tennessee Aquarium. And I just loved it. I loved it. It was so beautiful. I found out so much about your beautiful state, about all of the diversity of the fish and the birds and the ecosystems. I had no idea before I went there exactly the richness of Tennessee, and you guys need to really look after it because that is priceless. That is worth more than gold, really. And so when Joey took me to the aquarium, I said I wanted to see the butterfly garden.
Hmm.
And I decided that I was trying to figure out at that time, unbeknownst to people, whether or not I should run federally or not, whether I should give up the seat that I had with the province of Nova Scotia and run federally. And I decided that I was going to go in that butterfly garden and instead of meditate and put it out there to the universe, what should I do? Should I or shouldn't I? Should I stay where I'm safe and just keep doing the same thing, or should I take a chance kind of thing? And it was interesting because I noticed all these different butterflies were all fluttering around, attracted to the different colored flowers that matched them. So it seemed like the purple ones were all hanging out with the purples, the red ones were with the reds. I mean, they were all kind of attracted to what was right there with them. And they were all kind of low flying. But there were a couple of butterflies that were those huge, great big blue ones,
Yes.
huge blue butterflies. And I noticed one of them, I just started following it and it started going straight on up to the glass ceiling and it kept battering itself against the glass ceiling like it wanted to get out to that blue sky. It wanted to be free. It wasn't satisfied just sort of being there among the shrubs and everything. It was like battering itself, trying to get out and fly, even though I was thinking, geez, it has a safe environment, it has food, it has water, there's no predators. It could live a great old life doing what it's doing. But no, it wanted to get out. And suddenly I went, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I like to keep pushing myself further and further to see how far I can go with any one different project. And one time a family member asked me, why do you keep trying to do more? Aren't you satisfied? You've already done this and you've done that, you've got this, you've got that. I'm like, it's not about being satisfied. It's about pushing myself to just see how far I can go. And it's like kids who are doing sports. Do they just do their local school, competition? Once they've done that, then they want to go for provincials or state or whatever. Then they want to go nationals. And I mean, I think it's a thing inside some of us humans who we just want to keep seeing how far we ourselves can go. It's not about a competition with other people. It's more about what can I do to keep honing my skills and keep growing and keep learning. And I'll tell you, that visit to the butterfly garden in Tennessee, in Chattanooga, really, it just spoke to me about what I wanted to do next. And so I did end up running and winning and going to Ottawa and introducing my bill about environmental racism. And and I'm really glad that I did.
I love it. So we've got Lenore Zann, Canadian politician, inspired by butterflies in the Tennessee Aquarium.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
That's funny that it's a small world because you mentioned Joey. I know Joey.
Do you?
I don't.
Joe.
I don't. I haven't talked to him in probably 2 years, but I know who he is, and he knows me, and
Well,
he's part
a
of
big shout out. Hi, Joey.
yeah.
Thank you for the inspiration.
He's part of a really cool group called Chattanooga, and
Okay.
they are like a cosplay group, and they do a bunch of events. They do like children's events, and they've done movie
Nice.
premieres, and everybody shows up in costume and does their thing. And
Yes.
they're a really cool
Correct.
nerd group, and I've hung out with them in the past. So yeah,
My
that's
God,
really
that is
cool.
a small world. Yeah. He was so kind. What a kind man. No, I found people in Tennessee were so kind and sweet and well mannered and really well meaning and very warm and compassionate. I had a great time. I want to come back.
I'm happy that you ran into the good ones.
Yes.
No,
There's
I'm
good
kidding.
everywhere.
Overall, we're a pretty cool bunch, I think.
Yeah.
Um, so how did you end up portraying Rogue? How did that
How
like?
did that happen?
Yeah, did you like answer a classified ad, or like how did that?
No, they don't do that. Like when you're a professional actor, you really need to have an agent.
Yep.
It's impossible to do without an agent. So I've had many agents in my time. And at that particular time, in the early 90s, I was living in New York. I was doing a play on off Broadway at the Orpheum Theater called Unidentified Human Remains and the True Nature of Love. And I did it in Chicago for a year and then at New York for about 9 months. And then after that finished, I came back to Toronto. And my agent in Toronto said, "Hey, Lenore, this is perfect timing because there's an animation series and they're looking for a character that's got a low, husky, sexy voice and can do Southern accents." And I'm like, "Okay." And she said, "Yeah, like it's you. So I want you to go and audition for it." Well, I didn't because at the time, animation wasn't the big thing that it is today. And I was really a serious actress, like a serious actor. I would want
Yeah.
to do theater, movies, television, and radio drama. We were doing radio dramas too in Canada at that time. And I in cartoons. I was like, well, what's that? So I didn't audition for it. And they didn't know what the project was. The name hadn't been come out with, we didn't know what it was or anything. But then a few months went by and she called me again. She said, "Lenore, I want you to go in for this audition. They're having callbacks now for this same series. They haven't found the right girl to play the part. And that's because it's you." And she said,
That's great.
right. So she said, "Please go in and audition." So I said, "Okay, sure. All right, I'll go and audition this time for the callbacks." And that was when I walked in, I saw the character drawing of Rogue with the hand on the hip
Mm-hmm.
and that sassy attitude. And I just went, "Oh yeah, I can relate to her. I can do that." And then and they just said they wanted the sexy Southern accent, husky. I was okay. And then I walked in the booth, put the headphones on, the mic was there, and I did that little speech that I did earlier in the
Yep.
interview, which was there. And I heard the producers in LA screaming, going, "Oh my God, that's her. Where'd she come from? Don't let her leave. Don't let her leave. That's Rogue."
That
And
was
that
that
was it.
Larry Houston by
It was
chance?
Larry. Yeah, Larry and Sydney Water and a bunch of others. Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly how it happened.
That is great.
Yeah. And we
Um,
didn't know it was the X-Men
well,
because they
yeah.
hadn't told us. And I wasn't a comic nerd myself, to be honest. So I'd never seen her before.
God, that is so weird because Eric and Julia have the book out previously on X-Men that basically tells all the behind the scenes how the series got started and everything. And you have to remember that in like '92, um, pretty much it's almost like comic books were a toxic property. They weren't the sure thing that they are now.
Yeah. And there was
Nobody,
no Wikipedia. You couldn't
yeah,
look it up. You couldn't even look it up to go, well, what is it? There was no Google, there was no Wikipedia, there was no, so unless you were into the comic books, really, you didn't really know. George Buza is the only one that really knew about it as soon as he read it, but the rest of us didn't.
that's funny.
It
Like
took a while.
George and Larry were the two comic guys.
Yeah,
Because Larry Houston, he was the one who snuck a lot of the little cameos and stuff in there that
yeah,
not a lot of people knew about, and I'm sure
that's right.
maybe from what I understand, not a lot of people okayed either. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, it got in there. Yeah, but the rest of the cast for that original show, we're all Canadians, which I'm really proud of.
Yeah,
And each one of those actors were top in their field. Like we're all television, film, theater actors, because the producers had already tried out a few other casts and teams and stuff. And they tried the the people who mainly did cartoons, and they said it was too cartoony and just over the top. And they wanted something real. And so they said, well, why don't we go for theater actors, people who actually have some chops, deep chops with deeply rooted, getting into the scripts, figuring out the scripts, having the backstory in their character, really going for it. And that's what they ended up doing. And that's why it works so well. All of those actors were so good. I've seen many of them, even the ones that are now dead, like Magneto,
mm-hmm.
David Hemblin, brilliant theatrical actor, brilliant. I mean, he brought me to tears a number of times in his theatrical performances in Shakespeare and stuff like that. So, yeah,
Speaking of being brought to tears, you have to remember when the first couple of seasons of X-Men debuted in the early '90s. I was in the ballpark of about 9 or 10 years old.
mm,
At this point, all cartoons up to that point had a happy ending. There were really no serious topics. You know, they never really tackled anything. It was just, oh, you know, action, a little bit of comedy, some cuteness. Oh, we had a good time.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of lived in a bubble, being an only child, being, you know, pampered by my mother, that kind of thing. I was
Hmm.
one of those.
Did you have a father there?
I did. Yeah,
Okay.
you know, but he worked a lot. My mom, I was under her wing 24/7, basically. Um,
Right.
but my first real emotional moment in a cartoon came during A Rogue's Tale,
Hmm.
where her father basically disowned her. And
Yeah.
that was the first time in my life I had ever been exposed to something like that. You know, a
Wow.
parent who didn't want anything to do with their son or daughter, specifically because of the way they were, something that they could not control. And that got, you know, that hit me. I was like, wow, okay. That kind of opened my eyes up to, and I'm sure in the long run helped shape who I eventually became as an adult. It was a long road, but you know, I got there. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. I wanted to mention, you know, how that deeper drama really kind of connected to a lot of us who up to that point had never experienced such a thing.
Well, thanks for saying that. And to be honest, yeah, like a lot of the fans that come up to us at Comic Cons and also that have written letters to me over the years, most people that really relate to this show in some way or other felt like they didn't quite belong with a group or with their community or even in their families,
Yep.
right? And so we spoke to them because we are mutants.
Hmm.
We are shunned. We are shamed by society a lot of the times. And we are just normal to us. We're just normal. We have these special powers. We have these things about us that, yeah, we're different from some people, but who cares?
Yeah.
Um, which is an attitude I've always had. And so many folks too on the LGBTQ2 plus 2S plus community also felt that, for instance, when Rogue tries to get rid of her powers because she wants to be able to touch somebody skin to skin and to fall in love and to be intimate with somebody. Yes. Uh-huh. Exactly. Right. Yep.
The Cure.
So they, when I say after the end of the scene, when I realized that you can't change who you are, you know,
Yeah.
you can't change who you are. You got to accept who you are. And she's come to terms with this is who she is, and it's okay. Yeah, she might want to touch people and fall in love, but she can't. It's just part of she has to accept who she is and love herself for who she is. Now, it's going to take Rogue a long time to reach that point where she finally does love and accept herself for who she is. And by the end of the 90s cartoon, has she really? Has she really accepted herself fully yet? We don't know.
Nah,
Um,
I'd wager no.
right?
That's hard to
Right?
get past, you know.
It is. It is. But a lot of people have told me that that scene and that episode touched them, and they realized, yeah, it's okay to be who I am. It's okay to be who I am, and I'm not going to change who I am, and I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to accept that. And if they don't like it, too bad.
Now that we've brought up that plot point, I want to go ahead and just throw an idea out to Disney. I won't charge them a dime for it. Will not
You and
charge.
other people.
Yeah, I want a writing credit. That'd be cool. I think it would be cool now that we have the What If and we have X-Men involved in Disney now. I think that an amazing episode would be to go back to season 1 of X-Men and say, what if Rogue became a Horseman of Apocalypse? I think
Wow.
that would be an amazing episode. And if they're not already working on it, they need to get on it right now.
Well, I'll take a memo and I'll talk to Bo.
Yes, yes.
Bo's our producer.
Just tell them a special thanks at the bottom of the credits is all I want.
No money needs to pass hands.
No,
Just Just a little credit.
Since we're working on some serious topics now,
Yeah.
and we've talked about Chattanooga a little bit, I want to. Whew, here we go. Here we go. This is that hard hitting stuff we were talking about.
Okay.
Just a few weeks ago, a local school board banned the book, the graphic novel Mouse. I think I'm pronouncing it Mouse. But anyway, everybody knows it's by Art Spiegelman. It basically tells of late 30s, early 40s, the Jewish experience in Nazi occupied Poland. His family's experiences through that, and the Nazis are cats and the Jews are mice. And this local school board, not even an hour's drive from the Tennessee Aquarium that you love so much, they
Mm-hmm.
decided, there's some mouse nudity in this, and there's some violence. We're banning it completely, and it's become a hot button topic to the point where I actually bought my own copy on Amazon, just as kind of look what I did, kind of thing.
Right.
Not to mention it's a great graphic novel, Pulitzer Prize winning, the whole 9
Mm-hmm.
yards.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about that a little bit? Kind of your like
Sure.
how did we get to this point where we're again banning books?
Well, we don't have to look too far in our world's history to remember when books were banned
Mm-hmm.
in Germany, because a dictator decided to pick a group of people and make them the enemy and throw religion into the mix as well in order to turn a whole country of people that were slightly different against that group of people and blame that group of people for all the ills under the sun, which is just ridiculous. I think people can easily be brainwashed by certain folks who have a kind of you know a strong personality who try to tell them that, hey, I can change your life and I can make everything all roses, but we have to get against these people. It's like the X-Men. It's like the government in the X-Men who's always going, it's those bloody mutants that we got to put them down. We've got to put them behind bars. We've got to put them in cages at the border. We've got to, we've got to destroy them. And this is dangerous. It's very dangerous because we are a tiny little planet, a tiny little world spinning around in space. We're like a little tiny atom if you pull out from it, with a whole universe out there. And we need to all pull together in order to make sure that our planet remains habitable, for one thing. And people who spread lies and dissension and blame, and it's not healthy. And it sadly, a lot of people who are lost and confused, they can gravitate to that. And personally, I'd rather see those folks gravitate to our message, which is we're all in this together. We need respect and love and to belong. And we're not that different from anybody else. So let's all pull together and try to make this world a happy and healthy place for all of us.
Oh, I love it. There you are with the wearing that hat. I'm just like, oh, yes, inspiring words. I love it.
Thank you. I know it can get very sad and scary and desperate. And I know people are getting really angry at each other and on social media. It's so easy to come up with a quick quip and put down somebody. But really, we do need to start working together, and we do need to deal with the lies and the fake news. But it's hard because some people are saying the real news is fake, as opposed to the made up news. But I say, like, follow the money, look where it comes from, check out the source, and make sure that it's actually fact checked before you believe something.
Yeah, and I've noticed, and it goes for both sides. It doesn't matter how
Mhm.
much evidence you provide to the contrary of someone's beliefs. It a lot of times it just seems like people are just stuck where they're at. And you know, I mean,
and they're also in their own little bubble,
yeah,
and they're hearing from their friends who feel the same way, and the way the algorithms go on social media, oftentimes when they're clicking likes on things, the algorithms make them see more and more of the same stuff.
yes,
So they're not necessarily seeing the other side or other sides or other perspectives. They're seeing their same little bubble is just fomenting and fermenting the same thing that they already believe, and that's a problem. We have to have open minds, and that's why we need as many books as possible to be able to have children learn and see other perspectives.
This is going to be a fun one. I want to talk about how does serving in government as a politician, how is that similar and different from working in Hollywood?
Interesting. That's a good question. Well, let's put it this way. Sometimes there are more divas in politics than there are in Hollywood.
Yes, you're right. That's a good that is a very valid thought-provoking point. I feel like we could do an entire interview just on that statement.
Yeah. And also, I mean, egos. There's a lot of egos in both,
Yes.
right? So again, you have to kind of be able to go through the weeds and figure out who is really telling the truth and who is somebody that you want to get behind, and who's just puffing and blowing and sucking and blowing at the same time because for their own benefit.
Yes. Now, but before we wrap, we are getting into the closing minutes. I want to kind of go through and just show some, we're going to take a time capsule back to somewhere around 92, 93.
Okay.
Lovely. The sun's shining through the window. You can see it on my face. Isn't that awesome?
Yes, it's dark here. You can see that. It's
Yeah.
slowly got darker here.
It picked a heck of a time to cast sunlight over my face. Okay. So, first off, I'm sure you're probably at least somewhat familiar with Wizard Magazine.
Yeah.
Wizard Magazine. We have October 1992. This is Wizard number 14 from October 92.
Oh wow!
And that has a little bit of everybody there. We've got Jean Grey, Storm, of course, Rogue, Psylocke, and then my personal favorite down at the bottom, Jubilee.
Oh yes, and I see her up on your wall too.
Oh, Jubilee is on my wall. That is actually you can't see it on the broadcast, but up to my
on that side, yeah.
We have a Jubilee that was done by a local artist named Tim Smith.
Nice,
and,
beautiful.
I don't know if you could see the one. I know the audience can't, but a little bit.
I can't see the one beyond that, no.
Okay. Well, I actually had.
But I see Jubilee there with the coat and her shorts and everything.
I'll take it off the wall. I can't help it. This is my favorite photo. I have always been a big supporter of size acceptance, body acceptance, plus size, anybody.
Sure.
And I thought it would be fun. I had a nationally known artist. His name, I always get his name wrong. He's Vietnamese. His name is Tom Nguyen, I think.
Oh, yes. I know. I've met him.
Okay, sweet.
Sure, yeah.
He did a custom piece for me of a plus-size Jubilee.
Wow. And oh, my God. That's great.
I actually have a white cat named Jubilee, and he drew her in Jubilee's backpack.
Oh my God, I see her. That is hilarious. I love it. I love it.
He has a video on YouTube of him actually, like a time lapse of him drawing that, coloring it and everything.
Right.
It's my favorite piece. It really is.
Well, it's important because I'll tell you, one of the things in my show about Marilyn Monroe, the one woman show that I wrote and did off Broadway, I made the point in that show of talking to young women about size and about their body appearance, because so many young people they see all these skinny models, right? And they hold themselves up to that and they go, oh, I need to look skinny, skinny, skinny. I've been there. I had anorexia once when I was 21, 22. I had it for a couple of years and a little bit of bulimia
I'll say
too.
that's a mean struggle right there.
It
Like,
was. It was. But I got over it. I mean, I got over it. And so my point too in my play was to tell young women in particular that Marilyn Monroe was this gorgeous creature who was a sex symbol everybody loved. She had the most perfect figure for the time, and yet she still hated herself.
yeah.
And no matter how much acclaim, fame, money, men, attention she got, it was never enough, and she never really loved herself. She never really accepted herself the way she was. And those of us who have those kinds of issues oftentimes have this void inside us. It's a hole that we try to fill with other things. We try to control things by what we eat or what we don't eat, by what we drink or pills or whatever it is that people are using. And so I tried to tell young women that it's okay to be whatever size you are, because here is supposedly the most beautiful woman on the planet, and she doesn't even accept who she is.
Yes.
Because she's trying to fill her hole with all these different false remedies that don't work. And so until we learn to accept and love ourselves for who we are, we're never going to be satisfied, and we will never be good enough or beautiful enough or thin enough or whatever for anybody. But it's ourselves we have to be able to please ourselves and go, I like me for who I am, and I don't really care what you think about the way I look.
That's true. That's another one of those things where if somebody's giving you a hard time about something,
Mm-hmm.
it's an old Tyrion Lannister quote from Game of Thrones. Just
Yes.
own it. You know, if you have something that you're not happy about with yourself, wear it like armor. Who's going to use it against you then? You know, that kind of thing.
Hard for kids though, isn't it?
It is. And
teenagers,
for some adults, I'm 38 and I still have the occasional insecurity. I don't show it much, but it's there.
Right. I mean, that's where, again, like, humanity is oftentimes cruel. Like, kids can be cruel to other kids, but I think we need to teach kids more of the kindness, loving kindness. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others, because it makes for a much better and happier world. And we need to teach them that from an early age, which I think X-Men will do.
I know. I cannot wait.
And had.
Well, you shared yourself that right now X-Men the animated series is tip top on Disney Plus.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is, you know, and I mean, I've watched every episode of this series probably 20 times a pop. Some more than others.
Yes.
This other Wizard magazine, this is actually Wizard number 34 from June 94, probably my favorite Rogue cover ever. And get that. She actually, beautiful. They have a dead robot in the background. She's holding up the robot's skull with a lipstick print on it.
Oh my God! Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, there she is.
That one.
My gal.
This is probably my favorite Rogue cover ever, and I'm sure you've probably seen this one.
Oh yes, I love that one too.
X-Men number 24 from summer of '93.
Yes, I have that one at home, and I want to get it framed. Yeah, I sign that one a lot. People oftentimes send me that one to sign when we're doing the Comic-Cons.
I could see why. Absolutely,
it's a popular one.
Here's a fun one that I'm sure you could probably relate to. This is X-Men Adventures number 1. And,
yes.
Basically, this is the Marvel decided to do a comic book adaptation of the animated series. And this is part 1 of Night of the Sentinels, is what we're looking at.
I don't know if I've seen that one before.
Yep.
Cool.
And finally, this is right when the nostalgia really started picking up. This is probably around 2013, 2014. And Marvel actually did a continuation of the animated series with a comic called X-Men 92. Which is basically what you guys are doing with X-Men 97.
Right.
But this was where they were like, oh, we're going to kind of bank off of the popularity of the animated series, and we're going to
When did
do a comic
it come
book.
out?
Yeah.
When
So,
did it come out?
2013, 2000.
Okay. Oh, so not that long ago.
No, matter of fact, I'll find real quick. I'm one of those people. This came out in August 2015.
Okay.
So
So it's
yeah,
just 7 years ago.
yep.
Yeah,
So
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a whole bunch of X-Men stuff coming out now. I see there's new dolls or new, action figures coming out.
yes,
And do you see that? And Van Diersmeyer has been doing the covers for that. He's an artist that's also, you see him a lot on Twitter and stuff like that. He did a lot of the art also in the earlier show, and he's incredible.
I'm gonna have to, because they're coming out with new action figures right now, and
Yeah, that's what I mean. Those new action figures. He's
okay,
doing
so
it.
we're talking about the same line then, because I
Yeah.
pre-ordered two of the Jubilees that come in the
Okay.
VHS
Yeah.
box.
The same ones. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
fantastic!
Yeah. You should
Um,
look him up on Twitter.
I definitely will. Have you heard anything about maybe a Rogue figure? You got any inside
Yeah,
scoop
there
on
will
that?
be. There will be. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured that's
They're working on that.
okay.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I can't wait. I keep trying to push him going, and when am I going to get mine, sugar? I tweet him on Twitter, I'm like, what about me, sugar? Don't forget about Rogue.
Oh, the last thing I want to bring up before we wrap up,
Yeah.
because I know we're running short on time.
Okay.
You actually voiced Starcatcher on My Little Pony. Can we
Uh-huh.
just talk briefly about that? Because my girlfriend Amber is a huge My Little Pony fan, and I would be doing a disservice if I didn't at least bring that up.
Whatever you wish, it shall be done.
Oh,
That's
and she did the voice.
yeah, she was lovely. Well, she was magical.
Yes.
She's a Pegasus pony, so she flies. And she's a very calm leader of the Pegasus ponies, and she sings. So I got to sing too in a number of those videos that came out. I loved playing Starcatcher and My Little Pony, and I have a little pony at home that's my Starcatcher character. It was a fantastic show to work on. I loved it.
I love it. Have you did your character ever talk to Applejack, or am I wrong on the timelines and stuff here?
I can't remember. I can't remember. It's a while. It's a while back.
I told Amber that while I had you on, I was going to ask you if maybe you could hook us up with an interview with Applejack, not the voice actress, the actual horse.
Oh, I don't know too many horses, but I think Tara Strong was on that show, wasn't she? There's a few people in Vancouver who did a lot of those.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
I was in Vancouver at that time.
I just wanted to bring it up. Just like I don't know a lot about My Little Pony, not enough to ask about it certainly, but I had to bring it up just for her.
Well, I'll tell you, when it comes to dolls and stuff, I mean, I did a show called Rescue Heroes.
Yes.
And it became really big with younger kids. I played Wendy Waters, who is a female firefighter.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, the most moving time for me was coming back to New York one year, and I came into Times Square, and the Toys R Us store was right there in Times Square, and it was such a great store. I don't know if it's still there or not. I loved it, but they always had our dolls there for Rescue Heroes. But it was after 9/11. After 9/11, they came out with one line of them where my character was wearing the New York Fire Department outfit, and uniform. And I came out into Times Square, and they had like a 50-foot blow up of my character, of Wendy Waters, wearing that outfit, wearing the New York Fire Department uniform.
I bet that was an experience.
And that was, I mean, I cried. Yeah. It's sad too because we didn't have cell phones back then. I wasn't even able to take a picture of it. So I don't think I had a camera. I'll never forget it. I mean, it really brought me to tears thinking about what had happened in 9/11. We were all affected by that, as anybody who lived through that knows.
Okay, so before we wrap the interview, throw me one major spoiler for X-Men 97. No, kidding.
No
Okay,
way. No
no.
way, Jose.
Not,
I'm gonna say one thing.
okay.
The scripts are amazing. Whenever I get a script, I can't put it down until I've read the whole thing. And because I've done it before, I can see it all in my mind's eye.
Yeah.
I can hear the music. It's people be prepared to be blown away.
Okay, so
it's going to be fantastic.
You're saying it's fantastic. Could you forward me one of those scripts just so I can make sure? I'm trying.
No,
I
am not. No, I want people to be surprised. I don't want them to hear any little tidbits beforehand. I want them to be able to.
Yeah, I don't.
It's more fun when you see it happening and you're like, oh my God,
honestly, yeah, I honestly don't want to know because I know I'm going to be 10 years old all over again.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to be 30 all over again.
You don't look a day past anyway. You're like what are they? Keanu Reeves. You're one of those people that just does not age.
Another Canadian.
I'm moving up there because y'all got the fountain youth or something up that way.
Or the snow, the winters. I don't know what it is.
Is that what it is? Y'all just cryogenically freeze over the winter?
Yeah, they just freeze our faces like our faces freeze like this for like 9 months a year, and yeah.
Oh, well, real quick, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of throw out some of your socials, website, if you will. I want people to know where they can find Lenore and maybe get some more info on all the stuff we got going on.
I oftentimes respond to fans when they tweet to me. I'm on, I think it's at Zann Lenore on Twitter, and I believe it's at Lenore Zann on Instagram. And Facebook, it's just Lenore Zann. And just hit me up, follow me, and send me your favorite scenes or pictures or whatever you want. And I always love talking to the fans because you're why we're here. And our X-Men community is growing because there's so much diversity, and we love and accept everybody, and we welcome you into our community.
Oh, I'll tell everybody because Marvel, X-Men are squarely in the pocket of Disney now. We're gonna get X-Men. It's just a matter of when. They're already kind of teasing Professor Xavier in Multiverse of Madness. People are fairly certain that was him in that trailer that dropped during the Super Bowl. So everybody is. We're just super excited. And again, thank you so much for coming on here because this is an interview, but this is really just a fan talking to one of his favorite voice actresses from back in the day.
Thank you.
And, I try not to make it too formal or anything. I just like hanging out, chit-chatting.
I mean, it's like we're sitting in a living room. I'm sitting on a cushion by my coffee table with the fire there to keep me warm in the cold winter here in Nova Scotia, and I got a couch here, and you're sitting on the couch. It's fabulous. It's great, and we'll do this again.
I can't wait. If once X-Men 97 gets a little closer, we're gonna have you on Untitled Nerd Network to really give us the business in regards to this cartoon. And
like I said, be prepared to have your socks blown off. Yeah, you're gonna love it.
It's gonna be like the old Pee Wee Herman thing, where like every time somebody says mutant, that's the magic word. Just go crazy.
Yes, and I won't say have a drink every time. No.
Yeah, we've established that one.
Coffee and sparkling water. That's and cranberry juice. That's my drink of choice.
Well, coffee. And matter of fact, I actually had a friend get me. It's a pinup Jubilee riding.
Oh my God! Look at that.
Riding a rocket. Yeah, I don't know how the glare works, but
I've
it,
got Tim Hortons. That's a Canadian company.
I've heard
Tim
of that. I've heard of it. Is
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you so much for
I
coming
can't
on,
wait to
Lenore.
come back. Can't wait to come back to Chattanooga and the States. And when the Comic Cons get going again, we'll be on the move. The X-Men will be coming to your town. Get the Comic Cons to get us up there. Say we want X-Men, we want to see Rogue, we want to see Wolverine.
Yep.
Whoever you want to see, we'll be there.
Awesome. Thank
Can't
you.
wait.
I'll stay on with you for just a split second after the interview. But
Okay.
thank you so much for coming on, Lenore. This has been a pleasure, and it's been a fantastic blast. I've had such a great time.
Me too. Me too. And I hope the fans get some good things out of it and make them feel good and give them some ideas of how to make the world a better place and love each other a little bit more.
Whew, I'm more excited now than I was at the beginning of the interview. So, all right, everybody. I'm Lonnie with Untitled Nerd Network, here with the amazingly talented Lenore Zann from way up in Canada during the cold of winter.
I'll be seeing you soon.
Yes,
Bye, y'all.
definitely.